Hello again, everyone. Today we are going to be working on my spinal cord and chest assembly. There are a lot of parts to my chest, so we will just cover it enough so we can all see my chest servo 2040 board moving my head and arms about. My power supply will be for another episode, as there is a lot to cover in controlling how and when I get my power to make me work. So let's get started. Charles didn't like the way my shoulder termination boards were shoved down into my shoulders, so he opened up the cavities in my shoulders and rebuilt the boards to better fit into the little space I have here. Now my spinal cord can plug into my shoulder terminations without a big fight. Let's start on the top part of my spinal cord first. There are 10 servos in the top part of my body that need the wiring connection set up. We will also need to set up my upper body power feed cables, as well as my head USB connections and my arm IMU connections. If you think about it, there's a lot of wire going up and down my spine from my shoulders to my chest boards. Because of the number of cable cords running through me, special attention has to be made to allow for movement without it pulling on my cables, as they could break. Here we go again. More cutting and soldering wires. There is a lot of this cutting and soldering, so I will take you to the last one, so you don't fall asleep watching. You can now see the top of my spinal cord is complete. It is now ready for feeding through my breast motor carrier and up into my shoulders. We will do my chest connections once my spinal cord is fed down through my breast and into the top of my abs carrier assembly. This is where my chest servo 2040 board and power controls are located. So now the top of my spinal cord is complete. We can feed it through my bus motor carrier before my motors are fitted. We then feed my cord through my shoulder board retainer before plugging into each of my shoulder boards. Once my shoulder boards are located into my shoulder cavities, then my retainer board can be screwed into place. The retainer also locks my headset motor carrier in place, so my head does not flop around as I move. Now we can screw my bus X and Y servos into my bus servo carrier before slipping it into place on my shoulders. Once again, we do not lock the servo horn in place until the calibration tests are done on both of my servos. Yet again, more soldering. This time it is for adding the connector to my chest IMU board. The pins need to be bent down a little so that my spinal cord does not snag on it. We will solder the wires to the socket soon when my wiring is in place. Next is my chest servo 2040 board. This needs to have the servo power wiring screwed on before the board is screwed to my ab assembly. Now my HabZ servo gets screwed into place at the bottom of the assembly. Finally, my LEDs get pushed into place and my power switches get mounted and screwed down. Here we run the servo calibration to zero my bus servos before the servo horns can be fitted. You will find my shoulder servo holes too small for my servo horns to fit into when you are locking my bus and adds together. Gently ream out the servo hole on a tapered angle and do the same on the outside of the horn. This will ensure a tight fit and minimal sloppy movement in my joints. Afterwards, a quick movement check of the joints ensures there is no snagging on wires or plastic work. My ABZ joint won't be done until my rib cage is finally fitted in the next episode, as my ribs won't fit over my abs assembly. I'm really starting to come together now, but there is a really long way to go before I'm able to walk. We will connect up my chest power board in preparation for the final fitting of my ribs and power circuits later. This will keep my wires out of the way while we start on my minimum and maximum servo movement settings. For now, Charles will temporarily screw my rib cage in place so we can start running my movement tests. We will start with my head and work our way down my body. Some temporary wiring needs to be connected to my spinal cord so my servos will move. So let's do that now. We will add the range information to my servo config file here. Here you can see my head moving and the range in the insert screen. Now we will do this for the rest of my joints. Finally, some real movement we can relate to.
I hope you enjoyed this video.
So until next time, happy robot building!